Hey guys, it's Lizzie. You guys are so sweet. There's already 5 likes before the video even starts. I remember the last live stream, someone disliked the video before it even started. Like, who follows me or has notifications turned on just to dislike immediately? That's so rude. So if I look different, I don't have makeup. Well, I have like face makeup on, but not eye makeup on. Everyone's always like, do no makeup. So I'm doing no makeup. I also don't have my hair done. I had my hair in like a really cute, messy bun like 2 days ago, and then I just kind of kept it there, and I even went out today. So I also ran through traffic today a little bit because I was trying to catch a train and it was really sketchy. I definitely wouldn't have done it if I was on my full antipsychotic and everything. So I definitely need to like check my behavior and be careful. But how are you, Lizzie? Good. I injured my ankle a couple days ago. So it was like really uncomfortable, like sitting and working even. So basically, I lost my balance and I wear heels like all the time. Like I own like running shoes, but then like all my other shoes are heels. So of course people are like, don't wear heels, you're gonna fall. But I was in the grocery store and I like my leg was like, and then like I fell in front of like 10 or 15 people and everyone just stared at me when I was on the floor. And they didn't even ask if I was okay, or they're like, oh, do you need help? Like if I saw someone fall right in front of me, I would just be like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Like my gut reaction would be like, are you okay? And like wanting to help them. But everyone just like watched it and didn't say anything. So yeah. Also, I am reading fiction for the first time in like a year and a half. I don't usually read fiction, but yeah, I want to promote the book, but it has some cursing in it, so I'm not going to promote it just because I know like in my actual life, people are pretty surprised that I do curse in my actual life, but I feel like with my YouTube channel and everything, I would never recommend something that has cursing in it. So any advice for how to improve mental health, specifically permanently? So going on medication, I talk about all the time. It's like my number one thing ever, to be medicated if you have a mental illness. Also, working out has a lot to do with health. If you do cardio like 5 or 7 times a week, that really helps and makes a huge difference. I know for me, I'm pretty sure it's like this with most people, but anytime I do cardio and work out, I immediately get like a chemical burst that makes me feel better. So even if I'm like in really dark depression, like I've gone through times of not being medicated in depression because I was an idiot. And during that time in college, I worked out every single morning and it gave me like such a chemical high that it obviously I was still in severe depression, but it gave me like extra energy and extra happiness. So exercise is so important. It literally prevents so many things. Like it decreases your chances of getting like heart disease and cancer and so many things, type 2 diabetes. So yeah, I feel like I don't talk about that enough because I'm always like veganism and like eating healthy and stuff, but working out is so important. Even just like going on a walk helps so much. Okay. How can I stop hating on myself and thinking that I am worthless and knowing I am loved by Jesus? So read your Bible a lot. I think that people don't fully realize how powerful scripture is. A lot of times people, especially like in the evangelical Protestant world, are like, oh, God spoke to me, or like God's speaking this to me. And they really focus on like this emotional aspect of prayer where you can like hear God speaking to you. But I actually find that God speaks to me through scripture. Like whatever I am going through, if I am just doing my daily Bible reading for the day, like it hits different depending on what stage of life you're in. So it's like God gave us like thousands of pages of his love letter to the world of how to be human, how to be fully alive, how to feel loved. And so I just think that self-confidence should come from scripture. I was thinking about this recently because I was reading a book by Emily Wilson and she talked a lot about like insecurities and like overcoming insecurities. And I literally don't have insecurities. Like I don't ever have insecurities. Like I never have had insecurities. And I always wondered like, why am I like this? And I honestly think, well, number one, my parents have not gotten divorced. So I think having both parents married makes a huge difference in yourself. But also, I read my Bible so much growing up. I was so close to God. And so I knew my worth from God. And it didn't matter what anyone said to me or how they viewed me or if they excluded me or said negative things to me. Like, it didn't matter because I knew my worth in God. And so I think just being in scripture every single day, so many people are like, oh, I heard God speak to me. Like, no, God speaks to us through the Bible. So obviously in Catholicism, there are saints who have like visions and stuff. But if you're just like a regular person, like that's not gonna be you. Like obviously, like maybe there's like a 0.0001% chance that you could actually have like a vision and God speaking to you. But for like regular people, like that just doesn't happen. So honestly, I think people are so full of themselves when they're like, God spoke to me. Like seriously, like the most powerful God of the universe, you think he gave you like specific words? I don't like it. I guess it's the part of me where I'm just like very not charismatic about my faith. Okay. Have you ever found yourself in a social situation trying to say something funny, but then second guess yourself and are afraid that you are perceived as a snob? Never. That's never happened before. Okay. Lizzie, with cussing in your regular life, can I ask if it's a reaction, emotional, or force of habit? So I never curse people out. I'm not like, F you, like ever. It's just used casually. And it's just because like people in my life curse. So if you're around people who curse, you're going to start cursing. Pretty much like everything in life, the people you hang out with influence you so much. Like a lot of people thought for a while that I dressed so immodestly and so sexually. And I dressed like more modest than my friends, but my friends were dressing so sexy. And so from my perspective, I was like, what are people talking about? Like I genuinely didn't understand when I first became Catholic and people were like saying what I'm wearing isn't modest. Like I genuinely was like, are you serious? Like everyone around me, this is normal, and I'm even more modest than normal. So yeah, how you dress, how you talk, what you believe, how often you read, how often you pray, everything is affected by the people around you. So it's so important to keep quality people around you. And I would even say it's better to be alone than to be with people who are negatively going to influence you. I've never thought you were being in any way immodest. Yeah, on my YouTube channel, people don't really think I dress immodestly, but I do wear crop tops quite a bit. And so I think on Instagram, different photo shoots, people think like my shorts are too short or like I'm wearing a crop top. But obviously on camera, like you can't see if I'm wearing a crop top. So in my YouTube videos, people are always like, you're so modest, which is so affirming because like people on social media are like, you dress so sexually. And then on YouTube, everyone's like, what are you talking about? So I really appreciate it. Okay. How do you go about trying to convert a Protestant? So you honestly have to pray. People are just not even open-minded to hearing truth. And so I think it's so important to just pray and pray every single day that they will start asking the right questions and want to be converted into further deeper into Christianity, which is the Catholic Church. So yeah, I wish it was as easy as like people just need to hear the right arguments and you just need to have a debate with them. But I found that like even with myself for years when my friends were becoming Catholic, I didn't want to hear logical arguments for it. My heart was not open to it. And so you just have to pray for them, invite them to come to Mass with you, share about what you're reading, share about what you're doing for Lent and what you're learning in the homily at Mass. Just be open about your life. Don't hide it from people and they might convert. But obviously, God does it. Okay. How do you gather motivation to do schoolwork when you feel really awful and tired? I haven't been in school in like 5 or 6 years, but what I found that really helped me growing up is I was not addicted to like watching shows. Like we didn't really have TV or movies growing up. And so I never had that distraction. And I really recommend like cutting out TV completely. Like I've only watched maybe 2 shows in my entire life. And it's the best thing ever, like not watching TV. Also, I don't really spend any time on social media. That's why like I never post on social media. I'm so horrible at social media because I literally don't go on social media. I don't like it. So getting unaddicted to TV, movies, and social media, instead spend time reading and with friends and cooking and working out, doing activities, playing an instrument. There's so many other fun things to do that don't involve being on a screen. And so I think it's a huge temptation when you have a screen. Okay. Great advice on TV. Reading is much better. Lizzie, you're awesome. You were a great impact on my journey in God growing up. That's so sweet. I absolutely love all of your YouTube videos. That's so sweet. It might have been my last video or the video before my last, where I was talking about chastity and like why it's easy to not have sex and stuff. And I thought I was going to get so much hate from the video, honestly, just because I hear so many Catholics who are like, it's so easy to have sex with your significant other, like don't be in the same room as them. And I don't know, maybe that's just like a minority of Catholics who think like that, but I was honestly expecting to get so much hate, and there's only love, and I was like, what? I love you guys so much. Okay. Do you like classic books like Jane Eyre? I read Jane Eyre in like 4th or 5th grade, and I would say like as I've gotten older, I've grown less excited for books like that. So like if I'd read Jane Eyre in high school, I would have hated it. But when I was younger, I really wasn't exposed to like as much fun. I don't know. I don't really know what it is. I would say like once I started watching YouTube, which is similar to TV, like my attention span went down, which I think is a huge problem for the Gen Z, because they grew up their entire lives with like social media. And the problem is that it's like boom, 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 boom with like clips and like how quickly things change in music and stuff. Like in my film class in high school, we talked about how like a decade ago in filming movies, the shot would change like every 10 seconds or maybe every 15 seconds. Like if you watch older movies, it's really boring because like there'll just be like one shot and it won't change. Whereas now the shot needs to change every like 3 to 4 seconds. And even in my YouTube videos, I have like zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, because people will literally click out of the video if you're not entertained. And so because we're used to like boom, 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 like changing clips and music and everything, it's so hard to read books like that. Like even with the Old Testament, we're going through it right now with the Father Mike Schmidt's Bible in a Year. Like when I was younger, I loved Deuteronomy and Leviticus. And Numbers. Numbers was amazing when I was 9 and reading it. But now when I read through that, it's like not as fun because I have a lower attention span, which is horrible, but that's what happens when you grow up in social media. Hi, hey Lizzie, haven't commented in a while. How are you? Congrats on your engagement to Trevor. I'm doing really well. I've just been reading a lot, so that's been good. I talked about at the beginning, I hurt my ankle, so I was kind of like not really working for a bit because it like hurt to sit up and work. So have you watched Mike Winger's videos arguing against Catholicism? If so, what is your opinion on them? No, I haven't heard of him. I go to a Catholic church, and not to be rude, I just don't feel God's presence, and I'm scared to tell my mom if we can go to another Catholic church. So, I don't know how to say this, but your emotions are meaningless. So, like at Mass, God is physically there in the Eucharist. And so to say you don't feel his presence, you're in his presence. You're physically in his presence. So your emotions are wrong. And I think that it's really hard when you go to Mass a lot. Like I'm even finding this. I've only been Catholic for 3 years. And at the beginning of going to Mass, it was like, this is so amazing, and crying. I still cry pretty much every Mass, but I'm not like sobbing, crying and like, this is amazing. I'm like, love that prayer. So cool. That part of the creed. Like I used to have this like extreme emotional reaction to every part of Mass. And now sometimes I'm at Mass and I have to like force myself to see the beauty in it. And it's just because you're used to it. And so you can reflect more during mass on different things, focus on your favorite things, and that should make you feel emotional. But your emotions are wrong if you're not excited at mass. And like, we don't rely on our emotions as Christians at all. We shouldn't rely on our emotions because they're wrong most of the time. And I think that the majority of the time, we grow closer spiritually to God when we're in those dry periods in our faith. So I don't think the solution is going to a different Catholic church. I think the solution is just understanding the mass in a deeper level. That's right, Lizzie, God's presence in the Eucharist, totally. I feel weird when people want to feel. It's just people's personality types, honestly. Like, some people are just care more about emotions. Other people are more like logical about everything. So have you tried integrative therapy for your bipolar? Oh my goodness. I hate when people say things like this because it's like, my bipolar is solved by my medication. So people are always like, oh, do you want to try this? Try this. And it's like, I already have the solution and it's working amazing. Like, why are you even giving any insight when you're not a professional? And even if you were a professional, you're not my doctor. So people just shouldn't be giving any medical advice unless you're literally my doctor. If you are INFP, you might. A friend of mine also reversed psychosis with integrative therapy. Guys, psychosis is one of the most intense mental illness symptoms. Let's see what integrative therapy is. This might be fun. Progressive form of psychotherapy. Oh, it's just therapy? Integrated physical therapy? Multiple meanings. Well, I'm not against therapy. Like, I think it works great for some people, but it can't like undo depression or like I think with panic attacks, I totally think that therapy could help with panic attacks. Like, people with anxiety have told me that they rely on therapy sometimes more than medication. People who have panic attacks or OCD, like, therapy can actually really help them. But people who are bipolar, like, therapy doesn't really do anything. It's like, can you focus on being less manic? Can you focus on not hallucinating? Like, that's so weird that you think that would work. Okay. If that would fix my bipolar and psychosis, that would be amazing. Yeah, it'd be great if I could go to a couple therapy sessions and cure my mental illness. Clearly, that doesn't work. He was severely vitamin D3 deficient. Yeah, so I actually recommend you guys get blood tests because most people are deficient in vitamin D, even if you go in the sun sometimes. My psychiatrist actually recommended me, my past psychiatrist, to go in the sun to get vitamin D. I don't think that's a great idea. I think you should just take a supplement if you're deficient in something. You shouldn't be like, go in the sun for an ambiguous amount of time. Okay. Are you familiar about the La Virgen de la Esperanza in Masrina, Spain, devoted to her? No. The Myers-Briggs personality type is not actually accepted by the psychiatric and psychological societies. They're actually close to horoscopes. I actually think they're very helpful. I used to be like obsessed with them in college, especially when I had to talk to different people and like do a lot of like group projects and work situations. It was very helpful because I'm an ESTJ and I hate being in group projects because I always think that I could do it better by myself, / the majority of my life growing up in school, 90% of people are really lazy and I always take control and then end up doing all the work. So it was actually helpful once I got to college and discovered Myers-Briggs, where I was like, okay, this person is an ENFJ, this person's an ESTP, this person is an ESFJ. I realized why I had fights in my relationships, in my friendships. I understood why we didn't get along. And then I worked on getting along because I understood how our brains work differently. It's the exact same thing with me and my fiance. I know his Myers-Briggs. And every time we have a fight, it's literally because our brains are different. And I understand why we disagree through Myers-Briggs. It's very helpful. So I highly recommend it. It's not at all like horoscopes. When I took the test, I got INTJ, and it actually describes me so well on like Enneagrams. I did the Enneagram test. I made a video where I took the Enneagram test, and I was like 5 of the Enneagrams. Like, I didn't even have an Enneagram that was like my Enneagram. So I was like, this doesn't work. What's it like being engaged? Is it more exciting or any different than dating? So I would say it just like brought back the honeymoon phase of the relationship. So it made me like more excited and more passionate, but it didn't really change anything. I think especially because it wasn't a surprise proposal. It was something that like we'd gradually been leading up to for so long. So yeah, it wasn't that weird. Can you pray for me and my mental health, guys? Lizzie. Yes, MBTI is helpful to understand our weaknesses is eye-opening. Yes, 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 yes. So I understood what's bad about myself and how I should change. Like, one of the things about myself is I never think about the future. And that was like my Myers-Briggs was like the worst at thinking about the future. And I was like, oh, this leads to problems. Okay. Can you be spiritual and Catholic at the same time? Like about chakras, meditation, and healing the inner child? No. I know it's out of the topic, but I just want some clarity with this. So no, that's not okay. Have you seen, I would talk to a priest though, because some of that stuff, I don't even know what you mean by meditation. Like Catholics meditate. There's like a Catholic meditation app called Hallow who have sponsored my videos before. So it depends on how you're defining meditation, but what you're talking about, it might be something totally cool or it might be totally against the church. So I would just talk to a priest and like define all your terms. Are we supposed to cross ourselves when passing in front of a Catholic church? Yes. I have an entire video on 10 times to cross yourself. So go look up my video. I talk about all the times to cross yourself. So when you go past a Catholic church, when you go past a Catholic statue, when you hear an ambulance, when you hear a police siren, when someone uses God's name in vain, when you're in front of a crucifix, when you pray. What else? I'm missing some. Go watch the video. Okay. When are you getting married? What day? So I'm not going to be sharing the day we're going to get married because it's like pretty easy to figure out where the location is based upon like things I've said in videos. So no way am I going to be like, we're getting married in this city on this day, like narrow down the churches that are there. So no way. Love your nails. Thank you so much. I love them so much. Do you have many viewers from other countries? Your videos made me stronger in my faith, which helped in the conversion of my fiance to Catholicism. Aw, receive all my appreciation all the way from Brazil. Yes, I have viewers from all over the world, every continent. Well, not every continent, not Antarctica, but which actually there is a church in Antarctica. It was so funny. So I was answering the question like, do you have to go to mass when you're traveling? And I was explaining how there's like Catholic churches all over the world. And there's like a website called masstimes.org where you can go to if you're traveling in the US. And I was like, unless you're in Antarctica. And then someone was like, no, there's even a Catholic church there. So there's literally like no excuses for not going to mass. Okay. I bless myself when I go by a cemetery. Yeah, a cemetery you cross yourself to. Thank you so much. I crossed myself in front of a Catholic church yesterday and I got such a strange look from my friend. They'll get used to it. Did you hear the Pope is in Iraq today? Yes. I think that's very brave. I would not have gone. Do you have a favorite apparition of the Blessed Mother? Definitely Guadalupe. Were you always Christian? If not, describe your life before conversion in 3 years, in 3 words. I grew up my entire life as a Christian, as a Protestant Christian. So yeah, my parents were literally missionaries when I was conceived and when I was born. I was in Russia with my parents and my sister. So yeah, I've been Christian my entire life. Have you seen the movie Fatima? Yes, I did an entire video reaction to Fatima. Depending on which country you live in, you can watch it. It's been blocked in some countries for copyright, but it got like 10,000 views before it was blocked. So everyone got to see it. Hey, Lizzie, the videos. I think they meant to say love the videos. Do you have advice for those struggling to forgive themselves for past sins? I think going to confession is really important. I think that for me, when I was at my first confession, it was like life-changing with how things I'd been holding on to for so long, it was just erased and it was gone through the sacrament of confession. If you go to confession and you still don't feel forgiven, I honestly don't have advice for that, because I forgive myself pretty easily. I forgive others pretty easily. I think when you understand that God has forgiven you, he's the person who's been harmed the absolute most when we go against divine law. So if Jesus has forgiven us, then we should forgive ourselves. It's just like so obvious to me. And that's the thing, like I'm not emotional about it. I'm very logical about it. So that's not something that I struggle with. Did you have a certain time of life where you rebelled against the faith, like doing drugs, drinking, and other stuff? No, I've never done drugs before. I've had alcohol. I turned 21 in college, so I drink. No, I never had a rebellious stage. Do you know a Catholic theologian who can answer philosophical questions? What is your opinion on the driver's license SNL sketch? Okay, so I did watch it. I know I gave up music for Fiat, but I did watch that. I thought it was so funny. It was so sweet. And people were saying that it aired on her birthday, so I think that's so incredible. I had right of election the other week. Yeah, I heard that it was going on. And I was literally so nervous when I signed my name. I could barely hold the pen. My sponsor thing said he thought I was gonna pass out. Aww. Do you have any tips for memorizing Bible verses? Write it down. For some reason, our brain remembers things so much more when we write it down as opposed to just listening to it or reading it. But then also just like reading it over and over again. So confession changes everything. So incredible. I'm also a convert. Confession as a Catholic has been life-changing. What do you think about speaking in tongues? Sorry for spamming so many questions. Just curious and really enjoy these streams. So I think that like it made sense in the early church and it like shouldn't be a thing anymore. That's my personal opinion on it. What are your thoughts on Lady Gaga? I actually have never listened to her music. Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I've never liked any of her songs, but also I like grew up without secular music, so I'm not a big like secular music person anyways. So she's just an artist that I personally never got into. Did you ever listen to Charles Stanley when you were Protestant? No. Do you have any tips on, oh, we already answered that question. I don't like her music, but her voice is beautiful. Bye, Lizzie. Bye. Oh, we already answered that question. Talking about cemeteries, how many realize people are dying just to get in? I'm struggling with my wife from whom I separated a year ago. I thought she was borderline, but after listening to you, I now suspect she is rather bipolar. What is the difference between the two? Okay, this is such a good topic. The difference between bipolar and borderline. So borderline has similar symptoms to bipolar. The difference is that bipolar symptoms exist in episodes. So someone will be depressed for 2 weeks to a year. Someone will be manic for 2 weeks to 2 years. So each episode, it lasts for a long period of time, and all the symptoms in the episode coincide together. So borderline personality has same symptoms of bipolar, but occurring randomly. So Does that make sense? Like all the manic symptoms, all the depression symptoms. There are like mixed episodes, but that's pretty rare. And in general, it's just at the same time. So I literally saw on TikTok a couple weeks ago, someone was talking about borderline personality disorder, and they were like, when I was manic. And I was thinking like, no, you don't have manic episodes. Don't use the word manic, but they can have similar behavior. I have borderline and bipolar together. Fun times. That's so interesting to me. Like, I almost wonder if people have been misdiagnosed because it's just like it totally makes sense to me because borderline is caused more by how you grew up, whereas bipolar is like totally genetic. So it makes sense to me in a logical sense, but it's just like, yeah, I don't even know how you would diagnose someone because it has like such similar symptoms. So that must be so many stories that you share with your psychiatrist. Do you have advice if your family refuses to learn about bipolar, so you feel like they're not understanding you? So my family did not believe I had bipolar for the first few years that I was diagnosed as bipolar. And I just stopped talking about it with them because I was like, wow, you're not even gonna acknowledge that this is a real diagnosis. And I think especially with parents, they feel like guilty and they feel like something's wrong with them and it's their fault if you like a mental illness comes out of you, just because I think like especially with our parents' generation, they didn't grow up with all the knowledge that we have. And so they don't like emotionally get it that it's fully genetic. Instead it's like, oh, did I do something wrong? As a parent, that's where their mind goes. And so because of that, a lot of parents are not going to believe it. So honestly, I gave up on my friends and family like trying to understand my bipolar. So I think it's incredible through my YouTube videos seeing how many people go out of their way to research into bipolar. Like so many people who are like parents of a bipolar person or dating or married to them or a friend watch my YouTube videos, message me about it to learn more. So yeah, there are a lot of people in the world who care, but in my life, it's not like a ton of people in my life like, can I understand you more? Like there's not really that motivation at all. What's your take on purgatory? I made an entire video about purgatory, so go search it up, Lizzie's Answers Purgatory. Is Lizzie actually your name or is it a nickname for Elizabeth? Elizabeth was my birth name. I started going by Liz when I was 13, and then I started going by Lizzie when I created Lizzie's Answers when I was 15. My friend says I talk too much about my OCD when I don't think I do, and now I'm nervous to talk about it to someone if she's around. That's so sad. That's so mean she said that. I would never say that to a friend. Now you're going to be insecure and like talking about a huge part of your life. That sucks. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Friends should like ask questions and want to hear about it more. Simon says, for me, it's 3 a.m. and I need to go to sleep soon. I'm so tired, you guys. My Seroquel is kicking in. I started taking it a lot earlier, so that's why I'm like, I have several seconds between my words and stuff. We'll see how long I can carry on. I'm a fan of Lizzie's at first sight. Do you wear a Catholic medal? I have Catholic medals, but I'm not the type of person to like wear it all the time just because I'm into fashion. So if it goes with a certain outfit, then I'll wear it, but I'm not gonna like be wearing a medal all the time. Actually, that's not true. When I was traveling in December and January, I was very COVID safe when I was I should not have said that in a live stream when I was traveling. I was very safe when I was visiting my family. Like we quarantined from each other when we got home. Like, we kept our mask on for like 5 days before like interacting with the other people in the home. So we took COVID very seriously. But when I was there, I was like away from my home, and so I just had like one necklace on because I don't travel with like a ton of jewelry. So I had like my Peter and Paul Saint medal on for like a month. So which type of therapy has been effective for your bipolar? No therapy. Therapy has done nothing for my bipolar. I think it helps you process the trauma of depression or the trauma of mania. Like, that's helpful, but it's not going to do anything. It's like a genetic illness. Like, talking about it's not going to do anything. Hey, Lizzie, can you talk about Fiat 90? So Fiat 90 is started on January 4th or January 5th, and you give up secular music, all TV, all movies, desserts, snacking, any type of sweetener in coffee. You do a holy hour every single day where you read your Bible or pray. And what else should we give up? I almost forget what's part of Fiat 90 because I've been doing it for so long. So I'm just like, this is my normal life. There's also some fasting involved, which I chose not to do. The guy version, Exodus 90, involves guys taking cold showers, and a lot of women in the group volunteered to also do cold showers, but that wasn't a part of Fiat 90. So I'm like, not doing that. Maybe next year. I'm nervous about getting the COVID vaccine. I know it's not the mark of the beast, but still, who's saying it's the mark of the beast? That's, people are so weird. Like, that's just some weird, like, Protestant evangelical thing. I hope no Catholics are talking about it like that. Yeah, my mom just got the COVID vaccine, and some of my friends have gotten it. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be like the last person to get it, but because I'm healthy. Did you ever run into big problems due to manic episodes, like wasting money traveling, ending in debts? So I didn't have a credit card until recently, so I had no way to get into debt. Traveling, yeah, I mean, it's pretty common in manic episodes to like ditch your husband and catch a flight to France and get engaged to someone else in a day. So I never did anything like that. I never did like crazy traveling when I was manic. Is your cat still alive? So my parents have like my childhood cat, and yeah, he's still alive. I want to try Fiat 90, but I don't think I'll survive. I mean, for me, it's so easy because I already don't watch TV or movies or play video games, so it like wasn't a big change in my life. I also, oh, you have to work out a lot too. I also already worked out. I already didn't really eat desserts. I never snack. So it's not, for me, it wasn't that big of a change from my regular life. Christopher says, hey, your videos help me convince a family convert to Catholicism. Thanks for preaching the truth. That makes me so happy. Have you ever done the Daniel fast? No, I've never done that. What do you do if you don't play video games, watch TV, or movies? I work. I work like 10 hours a day every day, although I'm starting to take Sundays off to do a Sabbath. But yeah, so much time goes into my YouTube channel. It's constantly like a race to keep up with the algorithms and to get enough views. So it's my entire life. Like, I don't have time for hobbies because I do YouTube. So a lot of YouTubers have editors, and that's how you can have a normal life. But I can't afford an editor, / I wouldn't want to have an editor. So yeah, a lot of the big YouTubers who vlog a lot and they're like, oh, I'm going to get coffee. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing this. Like, that's because they have an editor. If you're the editor for your YouTube channel, that's like your entire life. What do you do for fun then? YouTube. I read a lot. I work out a lot. I go on a lot of walks. I love the beach. I love hiking. I love being with friends. I talk to my family quite a bit. I talk to my fiance. So I do a lot of things with friends virtually. And I go to mass. I do a lot of Catholic things. So like every single night, basically, I'm doing like a Zoom Catholic thing. What is your favorite thing to de-stress after a busy day? Probably watching YouTube. I suspect there can be love at first sight where like water, something. What is going on? That's so funny. You guys are like, what else would you do? Yeah, I've just, that's never been my experience in life. Why is it so hard for people to talk about politics or religion? A friend recently got mad at me for taking a position he didn't agree with. I love to exchange ideas and opinions on different topics. So my parents have always told me that when they were in Russia doing missionary work, they would tell their friends that like in America, you're not supposed to talk about politics and religion like over dinner or like with family. And they thought that was so weird because they're like, what else do you talk about? And that's been my family experience too, where we always talk about politics and religion. And I mean, currently in like the current climate, anyone who supported Trump, you can't really share that with people in your lives without like losing friends and stuff. So I think it's become like increasingly divisive, people's view on politics. I think in the past, if you supported a conservative candidate, you could talk about that with people and you wouldn't lose people in your life. But I think it's just becoming increasingly divisive. And I mean, Trump's problem is like he says racist things and sexist things, and even if he isn't that, he says things like that. So then supporting someone just because you support their policies, it makes it look like you support racism. So that's why it's so divisive now. Unfortunately, we have like the worst possible Republican that could have been chosen. Do you have blue light glasses? No, but I get advertised for them on YouTube and Instagram, so I'm like considering getting them. I wonder if I would like fall asleep faster. Did you see my question? No. Okay. How would you explain the difference between worship and veneration to Protestants who constantly claim that we are worshiping Mary and the saints? So the first thing I do is I say that the word pray, the Old English word for pray, means to ask. So when we say that we pray to the saints, we're literally just asking them to pray for us, just like how I'd ask my friends or family for a prayer request. So I share that first of all. And then I think veneration is more difficult to explain. So like I almost became Orthodox. So like I attend Byzantine stuff a lot and I was like attending Orthodox for almost a year. So I kiss icons and crucifixes. I always venerate them like that. And the way I explain it is that in the time of the Bible and in the Middle East still today, people greet each other with a kiss, whereas in the US, we'll hug each other or give a handshake. So kissing icons is like shaking hands with John and Jesus and Mary and people like that. So I explained that. And then for like, I feel like in Catholicism, in the Western Rite Church, people don't really do this that much, but where you'll have, sorry, it's hard for me to talk because my Seroquel's kicking in, so I'm like getting really tired. But sometimes we'll like read out prayers or letters that, or like songs that are venerating a saint. So like saying positive things about them and like honoring them. And the way I explain that is how I will create birthday cards for people in my life and tell them everything I love about them. And it's like an affirmation card and a way to share love. And so we do the same thing with people in heaven. So those are like the three things I explained, that we're not worshiping them. We're just asking for prayer requests. Kissing statues and icons is like giving a high five or hug. And then songs to them are just like writing affirmation cards. So that's how I explain it. Do you think the Catholic world has a celebrity theologian or celebrity activist problem? I don't know, like, I think of big Catholic people like Bishop Barron, and I don't know other people's hearts, but I know I never really have the celebrity mentality even towards celebrities. So I know for me, I'm just like, oh, like Bishop Barron's amazing. Like he's so cool. If I met him, I would probably have like butterflies in my stomach and be like, oh my gosh. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's like a negative thing. What happened to your cat? Why do people keep asking? My cat is in Florida. Biden is a devout Catholic. No, he's not. Same happened to Christians in the early church. They could not talk openly about Jesus because they were the crazy guys following a lunatic. Wearing blue light blocking glasses in the moment, they work wonders for sleep. Maybe I'll try it out and I'll use the coupon code from some of the YouTubers I watch. Nothing devout about that person. Okay, so a lot of people say Biden's not a Catholic because he supports abortion. So basically, everyone who has a Trinitarian baptism is technically Catholic. They're Christian by their baptism. It leaves an indelible mark on their soul. So he will always be a Catholic. He will just be doing an evil thing by being a politician supporting the legalization of abortion. So, oh my gosh, we all vent about Biden at the same time. There's always that time in the live stream when people vent about Biden. Two to three kisses in the Middle East, actually. That's so interesting when you meet someone. 2 to 3 kisses. Have you thought about doing a video on Divine Mercy? No. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you, Lizzie, for answering my questions. God bless. Bye. Have a good night. Your videos have helped me so much understand bipolar. When my wife was diagnosed bipolar, there were so many questions and confusion and uncertainty. Thank you for the videos. I'm so happy they helped you. Will you be on Seroquel long term? I heard that it can cause rebound insomnia. So I've been on Seroquel since 2017. It's a great medication. I would say that I would probably have stayed awake for like days at a time without it at certain points of my mania manifesting. So yeah, it's been absolutely incredible. And I know if I'm ever like too manic and not able to fall asleep, I just like take a few more milligrams, a few more 100 milligram pills. Obviously, you can't take too much. Seroquel can be fatal if you take too much of it because it's a muscle relaxant. So it literally can like make your heart stop beating. And actually, so interesting. So I was watching a video on Jubilee, which is my favorite YouTube channel, and they were interviewing people about drugs. And someone said that they had an addiction to Seroquel. And I was like, what? You can't get addicted to bipolar drugs because I remember when I first started going on medication for depression, my psychiatrist was like, by the way, these drugs aren't addictive. And I applied that to all medications for mental illness. But I was never told specifically that like antipsychotics aren't addictive or like Seroquel is not addictive. So I did more research into it. And guess what? There's a black market for Seroquel. People literally they take the Seroquel pill, grind it up, and snort it or inject it into their blood veins. Isn't that bizarre? And I just like, I still don't get what it does because Seroquel makes you want to fall asleep. So why do people just want to fall asleep who aren't bipolar? But my thing is, I think for people who aren't bipolar, it gives them an effect different than if you have a mental illness. So maybe like if you're not bipolar, but you're taking the bipolar medication, it gives you a high or something. But yeah, there's a whole black market for it. And there's like different street names. People mix it with cocaine. And a lot of people die from it because if you take too much of it, it literally makes your heart stop beating. So yeah. Who is your favorite Disney princess? I don't have favorite Disney princesses. I have not really watched that many Disney movies. Do you listen to Father Mike Schmidt's Bible in Your podcast? Yes. Wow, someone's... Oh, okay. I was like, this person typed the same thing 5 times and got deleted for all of them. What is rebound insomnia? Oh, that was the original question. I didn't even answer. So people think that you'll become reliant on Seroquel and not able to fall asleep without it. So I've gone days without taking my Seroquel, like either I forgot or like my pharmacy didn't fill it in time, but I was able to fall asleep without it. So yeah, I definitely don't have that. But even if I was addicted to it, it's like, not addicted, but even if I was reliant on it, like it makes me not go manic. So that's great. Like I have to be on it anyways. So it's not like, oh, 20 years down the road, I won't be bipolar and will want to go off of it. So I'm allergic to Seroquel. It causes me to have difficulty breathing. What? Abilify made it difficult for me to breathe. So that's so interesting that Seroquel did that for you. I was so confused how like antipsychotics have anything to do with breathing. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't get it. Do you have to do all the sacraments of Catholicism to receive eternal salvation? No. So one of the sacraments of Catholicism is holy orders if someone is becoming a priest or a bishop. So obviously not everyone is a priest or a bishop. Also, one of the sacraments is, so you don't have to do baptism, Eucharist, confirmation, and then the before you're dying. This reminds me. Oh, okay. Very rarely, all sacraments can be achieved unless you are a widower who becomes priest after his wife passes away. Yeah. My mom is on an extremely high dosage of Seroquel specifically for sleeping and acts very strange and out of touch with reality after taking it because of how tired it makes her. I might make an entire video on Seroquel because I was researching this after reading about how people get addicted to it. And apparently the drug company has lobbied a lot of doctors to try to get them to prescribe it for non-mental illness symptoms. So Seroquel was created to treat bipolar and schizophrenia. That's it. But they've manufactured the drug to make more money and wanted doctors to prescribe it for depression, anxiety, insomnia, when you shouldn't be taking it unless you're bipolar or schizophrenic, especially when it has these problems with addiction. So people who aren't bipolar or schizophrenic shouldn't be on it. So it makes sense that you would have weird out of reality symptoms if you're on an antipsychotic when you don't have a mental illness. So yeah, it's like one of the top prescribed drugs ever, and it's a problem. Take vitamin D3. I take vitamin D3 in my supplements. Have you seen any other Catholic movies aside from Fatima? I watched a video on Lourdes that was really, really good. The Chosen. Obviously, I've watched movies made by Catholics, but I've probably watched a lot of, Bishop Barron's Pivotal Players videos and the Catholicism series. So all of those movies. What do you think about the canceling of Dr. Seuss books? I read some of the pages of the books and it was messed up. It was so messed up. I was like, how is this normal at the time? How is this okay? So yeah, I think it totally makes sense. A lot of people are like, cancel culture is too much, but if you actually read some of them, it's pretty racist. Does anyone know of any other meanings of REM besides rapid eye movement? It's one of Ariana Grande's songs. Wait, what does it stand for in the Ariana Grande song? Ariana Grande. Oh, she talks about sleeping in it. So it's just like REM sleep. So she's sleeping thinking about her significant other. It sounds like you're part of cancel culture. People who are racist maybe should get canceled. And maybe not the person, sorry guys, my cerebral is so intense, it's hard to think right now. I'm gonna go out soon. Okay, so with the Dr. Seuss books, we're not even canceling Dr. Seuss, we're canceling the racist books that he made. And so that's not even cancel culture. It's just not him as a person, it's the literature. So okay, someone wants me to eat fish. Number one, it's full of heavy metals. Number two, fish have a heart, siblings, eyes, moms, babies. Just think of the fish. They have an entire life and it's taken away from them. It's super sad. What is your favorite Starbucks drink? So right now, since I'm doing Fiat 90, I'm not doing dairy or anything. But I mean, I'm not I'm just so tired right now. I'm not doing creamer in my coffee because of Fiat or sweet in coffee. So I obviously don't eat dairy or drink dairy because I'm vegan, but usually if I wasn't doing Fiat, and actually I haven't done this in like a while, but I would get a white mocha with soy milk. But I think it's way too sweet now. Like the past couple of years since I've been getting increasingly healthier with how I eat, I can't do that anymore. And sometimes I'll get caramel latte. Sometimes I'll just get like a regular coffee with almond milk in it. So yeah, the past like 6 months, I've just been getting regular coffee with soy milk. You see me rolling, I'll eat my shellfish with clams and mussels. They don't have feelings or anything. That sounds good. Okay, lots of other questions. We've been here for almost an hour and my Seroquel is super kicking in, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Thank you for hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun. My next video or live stream, I will definitely be wearing makeup on my eyes and having my hair in a normal style. Okay, I'm gonna leave. Thank you so much for being part of the live stream. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.